Okay, hello everybody. This is Dr. Hussein again in Renewable and Sustainable Energy. We are in module number 4. We will talk about biomass, geothermal energy, and energy conversion. Definitely at the end, we will finish with global warming and climate change. Let me start the first part of this week, week 11, with biomass. And as a definition for biomass, we have much of waste coming from agriculture sector, from animals. These are organic, bio issues. As example, tree, plants, fiber, animal waste. We can use them. We can use them to convert them into fuel, methanol and biodiesel, or even use them to produce biopower, as we will explain through our discussion. Anywhere on this planet, any location you select, you will find there is some waste coming in this location. These waste, as example, the shown in figure here, can be converted into energy fuel, and we'll explain this. I will take example from US since they have a huge investment in this type of renewable energy. And by the way, it's renewable because the consumption is lower than the production. Production is higher all the time. Okay. Now, the energy storage in the biomass, we will convert it into heat, or we produce fuel, or even we generate electricity, as we will discuss today in this one. Many type of, let me say, planets waste coming, or let me say, raw material, as example, vegetable oil, can be used to produce biofuel. Now, there is a plan in United States of America that to convert, let me say, their national gasoline, half of it using using biomass, and there is a plan also to invest in this by having advanced research on the algae to convert them, because they are convert them into biofuel. Uh, at the point at the end of this to approach zero let me say exporting uh, importing of oil or fossil fuel from outside US. Now, million tons of waste coming from agriculture, they converted, as example, sawdust and other let me say waste. They convert them into electricity. They generate fuel also for vehicles and transportation and so on. Agriculture sector is the main let me sector which produce this biomass, and also in the forest, the products, tons of waste coming from the forest. The source of biomass in different places in US, we will see that in Midwest there is a corn and soybeans. They use them to produce methanol, as we will discuss in the next few slides. Although also in Southeast they have willow trees. They use them in as energy crop, and to generate electricity in the Northwest and Northeast, the waste coming from residual from industry, they use it to generate electricity and heat. I talk about this type of renewable energy in my paper published in 2011, Renewable Energy in Oman, Status and the Future Prospect. This is renewable energy review, sustainable energy review, one of the important publishers, Elsevier. I talked about the opportunities for biomass in Oman. I will read them from my paper here. The situation of potential biomass in Oman could be summarized as follows. The Oman biomass sector has the potential to expand without harmful effect on food supplies and environment if done in a sustainable manner, and a greater recovery of wood form and managed woodland could make a significant contribution to Oman energy target. And there is no industry of biofuel in Oman. However, there is good potential for Oman to expand its production of sustainable biofuel in the future. Considering the 1 million palm tree project, okay, then we expect that there is waste coming from agriculture sector and will increase with time. This could be used to produce biofuel. Now you may ask, what is the process? Actually, we have the source. Example here, you can see, okay, the source here, okay. The we have the sources. These sources, as I mentioned, waste coming from agriculture sector or from the industry or from the animals, we convert them into oil, sugar, and fat, and then we will use a chemical reaction or thermal reaction or fermentation reaction to produce either biodiesel, methanol, or we use them to generate fuel for motors or electricity. Okay. Now, the burning of this fuel coming from biomass have less carbon dioxide emission. Okay, and actually the plants observe carbon dioxide as part of their photosynthesis process, and but when we burn them, they produce less CO2. Okay, so their impact on the environment is less. Now, there are millions of tons of waste coming from agriculture sector could be used to generate electricity, and this will produce will feed the economic more investment. It means more feed to the economics. Also, it will create job opportunity, thousands of job opportunities, as I mentioned. U.S. spend 50 billion each year on oil. Now, biomass could reduce this into 25 billion a year if they improve this sector and replace half of it. Besides, this will create job opportunity, as I mentioned, 17,000 for each million, okay, billion gallon produce of ethanol, and also diversification. As you know, I mentioned in previous sessions that diversification by using different source of renewable energy. We talk about solar, thermal, light, hybrid, wind, hydro, tide, wave, otic. Now, biomass also could be part of it. We convert, as you can see in this photo, we convert the waste or the coming from different sectors into fuel to feed or to be used in different vehicles for transportation. Okay, mainly today they use it for transportation, and if we compare the biofuel with the petroleum fuel, we can see the let me say polluted gases emitted from biofuel is less compared with petroleum. Okay, now two type of biofuel to be produced from biomass. These are the ethanol and biodiesel. Let me talk about them each one by one. Now, the graph here show ethanol production between 2010 to 17 in US. I'm talking about here thousands barrel per day. Okay, you can see the graph is growth, which means that the production is increased every day, okay, every year. The the ethanol, also called chemical name, is ethyl alcohol or grain alcohol, which means the ethanol. Okay, it's made from starch and in certain grains or wheat, corn, or their byproducts. Okay, we convert them by from sugar, okay, into sugar, and then by bacterial microbes we feed them to microbes, and the microbes use them as a food. They produce ethanol. As you can see here in this graph, in this figure block diagram, the oil crops, let me say grains, sugar, and other sources of biomass, we convert them into starch, fat, oil, and so on. Then we use different technology, either chemical technology, biological technology, thermochemical technology. But then we produce different products: biodiesel, ethanol, methane, and other biofuel. Now, it's preferable to have our plants or the company or the factory where we produce the ethanol close to the raw material, I mean to the forest or to the agriculture where we provide the raw material. Um, in 2004, U.S. industry produced 3.3 billion gallons. Okay, there is growth in producing ethanol with time. Uh, the research going on to improve the technology, improve the production of ethanol using fiber from different wastes from agriculture sector, and ethanol, the type of ethanol in this situation they call it bioethanol, because there is ethanol produced from petrol, from fossil fuel, but this ethanol is produced from biomass. They call it bioethanol. Um, the emission, carbon dioxide emission from bioethanol is lower than that from from ethanol coming from fossil fuel. It's used to supply many vehicles, more than 1.5 billion gallon US used to use for transportation in different vehicles. 10% ethanol and 90% will be from gasoline. They use it for transportation. Now, these vehicles are flexible vehicles. It can use ethanol coming from biomass or coming from fossil fuel. And the new fuel, which is called E85. E85, it means 85 gasoline and 15 ethanol. Okay? It's used in a flexible, what we call flexible fuel vehicles, which can use different type of fuels. Now, the percentage of emission reduced by using E85 into 30% from greenhouse gases, and this is important because it's in the same direction of reducing carbon dioxide emission. And the vehicles are called flexible fuel vehicles. Now, different manufacturer, Ford, GM, Chrysler, or Mercedes, developed and improved their vehicles to handle or to deal with this type of fuel, either E85 or the normal fuel coming from fossil fuel. Now, these vehicles now it's used in many countries, and it's reduced the pressure of using fossil fuel for transportation. Now, I mentioned for the reduction in environmental or pollution coming from ethanol produced by fossil fuel. Now, biodiesel, the other one is biodiesel. Biodiesel is produced also from oil, vegetable oil, okay? And Rudolf Diesel, the scientist who produced this, actually, um, he mentioned in 1911, talking about more than 100 years back. I will quote here from his say. He said the diesel engine can be fed with vegetable oil and would help considerably in development of agriculture of the countries which use it. And in another quote here, the use of vegetable oil for engine fuel may seem insignificant today, but such oils may become in course of time as important as petroleum and the coal tar products of present time. When we read from Diesel, Dr. Diesel, and what he say more than 100 years back, he predict the future. Today, biodiesel become one of the important source of fuel used for transportation. And many countries depend on the production of biodiesel. Now, we are not talking about producing a small amount of biodiesel. 200 in 2010, 200 million gallon just from soy-based biodiesel in US. Now, biodiesel get increased. By the way, also the emission coming from biodiesel is lower than from diesel produced from fossil fuel. Now, many companies, around 20% biodiesel and 80% petroleum diesel, they try to mix it. I mean, rather than they produce diesel from only fossil fuel, they try to use it from bio. So they reduce the product the pressure on using fossil fuel. It's mix of diesel, bio with non-bio, fossil, let me say. Now, usually biodiesel made from fat and oil. So we can produce fat, and they deal with it then chemically, and they produce fat acid methyl ester, which is the biodiesel, the chemical name. Okay, with methanol, definitely they mix it. Here in this comparison is, if you can see in the table, emission reduced sharply, B100 and B20. Increase the amount of biofuel used will reduce the carbon dioxide, as you see here, minus 47 compared with only 20%, which is minus 12. So you increase biodiesel, you reduce the carbon dioxide and other pollutants, as you can see here. Um, Now, another one is the biopower. Biopower is when we use biomass to generate electricity. There are definitely we use biomass to for lighting, cooking, heating, but generate electricity. It's increased with time. Many companies started to invest in this, and they produce. Talking about more in 2010, they produce 65 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year, and it's get growth. Now here we're talking about 2021, it's approaching 110 gigawatt, okay, of production from biopower. The plants for this is either in the range of 100 kilo combined heat and power or more, talking about mega, okay. And biopower, they use mix. Sometimes they will use mix of renewable and non-renewable, as we'll explain in the next point. Biopower mainly use wood. The biopower produce electricity which may be used in wood and paper industry. Okay, there are three type of biopower system. We have direct, we have direct fire, co-fire, and gasification. For direct, we burn the biomass directly. So it's similar to any other thermal system. We produce heat, we convert water, or let me say liquid, into steam, vaporized, and then we rotate turbo generated, as you can see in this figure. Uh, for co-firing, we will mix the biomass material with the fossil fuel to reduce the pressure on fossil fuel. It's similar to the previous system, but remember here also we reduce the carbon dioxide. One of the issue is sulfur dioxide will be reduced sharp because it's not produced. It's produced from fossil fuel. For gasification, the situation is different from the previous two methods. In gasification, what they do, they heat the biomass to produce gas. And this gas used to rotate turbo generator, as you can see here. They heat it, okay? Now, the future product of bioenergy now is competitive with fossil with fossil fuel. Okay, mainly it's used for transportation, and the price going down with more improvement in the technology and the resources. Another issue is the biorefinery. We know the fossil fuel refinery. Refinery, it's right to break down the raw material into different type of fuel. Almost the same thing happen here with biorefinery. We try to produce fuel, different type of fuel, power, chemical, and use them for different applications. Okay. The cost will be reduced sharply if we locate our, let me say, our factory of bio refinery close to the biomass source, near the forest, near the agriculture sector, and so on. Now, bio-based products, you remember when I mentioned to oil in the revision of fossil fuel oil, there are some application for using fossil fuel is the oil-based technology. I mean, some products using oil, okay, or fossil fuel, petroleum. Now the same thing for biomass. There is also there is a product based on biomass, almost similar to the situation of fossil fuel. Okay, I will stop here. We will continue with hydrogen production and fuel cell in the next session. Thank you.